Hello guys, welcome to class number 5, and today we are going to discuss the additional plots and how to analyze them. So if you remember our previous lecture, we discussed some plots, we discussed box plots, we discussed some histograms. So we also created a heat map of correlation if you guys remember. So there are some other plots that we need to discuss before we move on towards the inferential part, as inferential statistics part is larger than the descriptive statistics part. So after today's lecture, we will be done with the descriptive part and we will start the inferential part in our next class. So let's discuss these tables and plots. So first one is contingency table. So what is a contingency table? A contingency table, also called a cross tabulation or crosstab, is used to summarize the relationship between categorical variable and numeric variable. So it will summarize the relation between categorical variable and numeric variable. So there can be both categorical variables as well, but most of the time we do a comparison between categorical variable and numeric variable. You guys can also convert the categorical variable into numeric variable, but at least one of them should be categorical. So it displays the frequency count of observations. Just like the histogram plot, it also displays the frequency count of observation, but for each category. So this is the difference between the histogram and the contingency table. So I have selected a data set for the example so I can explain the concept of contingency table and why do we create it. So let me just first show you the data set. We have this enhanced anxiety dataset, which I have downloaded from Kaggle website. Here you can see that we have lot of columns. So each column is indicating a variable. So I have selected the anxiety level and medication. So here you can see the medication is a categorical data and this one is numeric. So I have selected these two columns. So we can analyze the anxiety level of people who take medication or not. So first of all, we are going to create figure and I like to use the dark background. And then we are going to load the data using the pd.readcsv function. And then we are going to create the table using the crosstab function. So pandas have a crosstab function. We are going to use it. And we provided it anxiety level from 1 to 10 and medication column. So after providing these two columns, we can print the contingency table. So this is how a contingency table looks like. We have medication, which is no and in yes, which means that either the patient is taking medication or not. And on the left hand side we have anxiety level from 1 to 10. People who are at anxiety level 1 are taking medications. 480 people who are at level 1 are taking medication, and people who are not taking any medication are 559. So it is hard to analyze it like this. So we have to visualize the data so we can see better. So here to visualize, we are going to use heat map. Just like in our previous class, we used heat map for visualization of the correlation. Here we can also use that for contingency table. So we are going to provide it the contingency table, and we can set the color of the map as however you want. I like to use reds, and then we can set the title. So after executing the cell, you will see the contingency table in the visual form. So on the right hand side, you guys can see there is a bar. So this bar indicates the number of patients. As the number of patients increase, the bar become dark red. So here in our map or in our graph, we can see that we have a darker part over here, and this is the less darker part. So at least we can say that the people who are suffering from anxiety are mostly at level 3 and level 4. And why this is lighter than this one? This means that most of the patients are taking medication. That is why it is darker. So it has more patients compared to this one who are not taking any medication. So here at extreme level of anxiety, which is from 8 to 10, so you guys can see that this is a very lighter portion, as higher anxiety level are not very common in people and it is very dangerous as well. So there are not very large number of people who are suffering from extreme anxiety level. So here we have the darker part over here as well for medication. So this shows that a lot of people are taking medication and there are very less people compared to them who are not taking any medications. So based on this analysis, we can do some research. We can select the group of patients who are suffering from anxiety and we can test their levels. So we can select people who have same level of anxiety and we can test them with either medication, or we will not give medication to the other one, and both of the groups will receive the therapy. So only medication will not be common in both groups. One group will take medication and one group will not take any medication. And after some time we will then measure their level of anxiety and see if the people who have taken medication are improving faster than the people who are not taking, or either the people who are not taking any medication are recovering faster than the people who are taking the medication. So let's assume that if people who are not taking any medication recovers faster than the people who are taking the medication, this means that the medication was actually causing more anxiety. Or if the result is vice versa, where people who are taking medication are improving faster than the people who are not taking any medication, this means that the medication is working for the patients who are suffering from anxiety. So in this way you guys can plan your further research based on this analysis. So this is how you analyze and then plan a research based on this. Alright, so after contingency table we have hexagonal binning. So what is a hexagonal binning? When we have two numeric variables with many data points, a scatter plot might be too dense. So you have learned to create scatter plots. In our previous lecture we created this standard deviation plot, if you guys remember. So let me just zoom in. So here you guys can see that there are over 3000 values. We have 3000 data points and they are going like this. So right now here we can see that these are all scattered. So we cannot identify that which part is the darker and which is the lighter, because this is too dense. So for that purpose we create a hexagonal binning. So instead we can use hexagonal binning, which groups points into hexagonal cell and colors them red. So let me just first show you how a hexagonal bin looks like. So it will look like this. Here we can see that the parts that are darker than the others contains the most of the data over here. So let me just show you how to create that first. So we are going to import the NumPy function, and I'm using a default dataset that is in the SNS library, the Seaborn library. So I'm using sns.load datasets and provide it the string tips. This will load a default dataset that is already in the library and we will use it. So you guys can also download your own data for this, but I would like to use this one for this example. So after that we are going to create the hexabin plot, and here you guys can see first we created the figure and then we are going to use hexbin to create a hexagonal plot. And I have provided it the first column, which is total bill, and the second one will be tips. So we are doing a analysis on total bills and tips that we give. So you guys can also set the grid size. if I remove the grid size, you will see that the graph will change. So without the grid size, it will look like this, which is not very useful. So we are going to use grid size 25. You can increase the grid size if the visibility is not good. So after using the bigger grid size, we can see that the data is now very visible and we can analyze it. So as usual, I would like to use red. You can use your own color and you can set the label or however you want. Here you can see that on x-axis we have total bill and on y-axis we have tips. So what is the meaning of this circle being the darkest one? This means that this is almost $12. This means that most of the people in the restaurant order the food equal to $12 or close to it. And they also give a $2 tip to their waiter. And after that, as we can see that the total number of bill, total amount of the bill is increasing. The amount of tip is also increasing, but there are very empty parts as well. So this dark part can also be called the mode, as the mode is also used to show the values that are most repeated. So 12 or maybe 11 is the most repeated value. So after hexagonal plot, we have contour plot. So what is a contour plot? A contour plot is similar to topographical map. So it represents the density of two numeric variables using contour lines. So what is a topographical map? If you ever saw a map where mountains look like this, in a topographical map of a terrain, the mountains looks like this. In our case, it will not show us the mountain, instead it will show us the density where most of the data lies. So to draw it, first we are going to import the anxiety dataset just like before, and we are going to use KDE plot for this. And first we will provide the data, which is this one, and then we are going to set the parameters of x-axis and y-axis. So we are going to select the sleep hours and physical activity hours per week, and then you can select the color of the map, and by filling true, this will actually fill the colors inside the lines. Without it, it will not show us the colors. It will instead show us the line, highlighted lines. So it will not look good. So you should set the fill to true. And then we can set the title labels of x-axis and y-axis. And after showing, it will look like this. So what is that telling us, this darker part? So this darker part, sleep hours are almost between 6 to 8 hours. So and if you look at the physical activity per hours per week, we can see that it is ranging from 1 to 4. So this means that people who sleeps at least 7 hours are doing activity of 4 hours per week. So just like hexagonal, you guys can also create a contour plot and look into the density of the data. Alright, so after contour plot, I have another example. We are going to create a correlation map again. We have discussed correlation in our previous lecture, but I would like to repeat this so you guys can revise this through a different data set. So here in this correlation, we are going to use the data set of anxiety levels. So first I am going to create a correlation table. For that, first I am going to select the number of columns, sleep hours, physical activity, anxiety level. So I would not like to use the whole data because the whole data have a lot of variables. If you look into this enhanced anxiety data set, we have lot of columns. So we don't want each of them. Let's just select the sleep hours, physical activity and anxiety level. Or we can also select the medication. Alright. So after creating the correlation, we have to create a mask. I have discussed this line of code in our previous lecture in details. If you guys don't remember, you can rewatch it. And then we are going to use the Seaborn library and heat map from it to create the heat map. And you guys can set the title, and then after we press enter. Okay, there is a problem. Could not convert string to float. Yes. Okay, so for correlation we cannot use, obviously we cannot use a categorical data. So first we have to convert this into a numeric data. Okay, so first let me make a copy of the anxiety dataset. And then I'm going to select the medication in the copied data frame and convert it into ones and zeros. And then I am going to create a correlation table by using this data frame that we copied. And now we are going to select the medication column as well. Alright, let me just correct this one. Okay, we have an error again. Why is that? Okay, medication is not there. Okay, we have to use the capital M. Alright, so now we can see that we have a heat map of correlation, and we have included some medication column as well, and now we can analyze it. So on the right hand side we are seeing the intensity of the correlation from negative to positive. So we have maximum 0.1 positive correlation over here. So this is the more darkest part over here. Let me just select the cool warm instead. Alright, this is better. So this red part indicates that there is a positive correlation, but it is very insignificant and very weak, as it is 0.1. You know that the strongest correlation in positive is 1 and in negative is -1. So right now it is 0.17, which means that it is a very weak and insignificant correlation. So this is a correlation between physical activity hours per week and the sleep hours. So obviously sleep hours and physical activity are not very comparable because they may not affect each other. But there is a slight positive correlation which shows that if you increase your physical activity, then this will also increase your sleep hours, as you will become very tired. But some people will recover quickly, so it is not very significant. And then we have some negative correlations as well. These are very weak negative correlations, so we will not discuss this. We have some positive correlation, but this is a very weak one, so we will also not discuss it because this is 0.056, even weaker than this one. So this is absolutely no correlation at all. But we have these two correlation which are this one is weak correlation, and this one is a moderate or maybe a little bit high correlation, but it is negative. So let's discuss this one. So this one we have here is anxiety level, and we have sleep hours. So this is a very interesting information because this means that sleep hours can impact the anxiety level, or maybe it's the other way around. Anxiety level may affect the sleep hours. So this means that if you increase the sleep hours, the anxiety level will decrease, and vice versa. As anxiety level increases, the sleep hours will decrease. And this can also be possible because a person may not be sleeping because of the anxiety level. So this can be also the cause. Or maybe if you increase the sleep hours, you can decrease your anxiety level. So for that purpose, we can conduct some research where we select the people who are suffering from high level of anxiety, and we can give them some pills for sleeping. So we will see that if their sleep hours affect the anxiety level or not. So in this way, after analysis, you can select what kind of research you want to do next. Then we have some weak negative correlation over here, minus 0.24. It is between the anxiety level and the physical activity hours per week. So we didn't compare that. First we compared the physical activity with sleep hours, but then we have anxiety level and physical activity comparison over here. So this is a negative 0.24. So this is an indication that there is some impact of physical activity on anxiety level. As the physical activity hours per week increases, the anxiety level may decrease. So for that purpose, we can also conduct some research where we select the people who are suffering from anxiety level, and we can select the patients that are suffering from same level of anxiety level, and we can provide them some place where they can exercise. We can take such patients outside for a walk or a jogging and see if it will decrease the anxiety level or not. So this can be a useful research as well, that either physical activity affects the anxiety level or not. So this is it, guys. We have discussed some of the graphs that we didn't discuss in our previous lecture, and now we have done that, and we also revised the correlation as well, and we did a correlation analysis using a different data set as before.